All right. Good afternoon, everyone here in the United States of America to another Facebook Live with Profit Team Consulting. I'm Rob Rainwater with the distinct honor of spending this afternoon with Chris Daglis, or your morning, correct? Is
Morning.
it
It's 8:30 in the morning here on Wednesday.
8:30
So
in the morning? Okay. So what it's a pleasure. And I've gotten to know Chris over the last 4 or 5, 6 months pretty well. And I thought it would be great to have him come on and talk a little bit about himself, which I'm sure he told me he didn't want to do a lot of, but you guys enjoy. I told him he's like my James Bond, the way he talks. It's like so smooth and so cool. He's like James Bond for me. So, but
you're working it up too much, Rob. You're working it up. I'm going to let everyone down now.
no, you never have. You haven't yet. But Chris Douglas, everyone. So pleasure, Chris. So tell us a little bit for those of that are people that are watching here that don't really know who you are and maybe read you in some of the trade magazines or maybe seen you at a show, but just a little about you and then maybe a little bit about your company.
Sure. Okay. Well, firstly, thank you, and the pleasure is mine. Great to be on the show. Great to be talking with you again, Rob. So, I don't want to make this, as I said to you before, Rob. I don't want to make this about Chris Douglas, but let's just really quickly give you a bit of a background. Second generation automotive recycler. Traditionally, Dad started the business back in 1978, 79. My two brothers and my sister are still in the business here in Melbourne, in Australia. Um, I finished uni, went straight into the business. I was going to go into the business, and that was back in '91, showing our age again. And worked in the business right through from starting, selling in the sales room, picking up phones, making deals, doing all that stuff, and then into more of a management role. But I always wanted to do something more. I knew there was something more out there. The business, Dad and my brothers were in the collision repair business prior to getting into the parts business. So we were pretty well attuned to the automotive collision repair industry. So a lot of collision parts were being sold, right? Because that's what the family was always about, collision. And so it was probably 70-80% collision, 30-40% mechanical. And I knew that there was something else out there with the collision industry. We all know the issues as to why collision repairers don't use recycled parts. So I sort of helped, I suppose, build different models. So between 2000 and 2003, I was working very closely with Insurance Australia Group here in Australia, which was the largest insurer here at the time, and looking at how can we get more salvage parts, how can we get more reclaimed, recycled original equipment parts back into the collision repair network. And obviously we all know the issues. Repairers don't want to use them, they don't make enough money on them, there's always a problem with them.
So that just doesn't happen here.
No, never. But look, we know that's the case. And I took a slightly different approach to that. I said, okay, well, if we know that's what the problem is, what can we do to fix that? And what do we have in our control? Because let's be clear, I think it'd be remiss of us to sit here and suggest all the problems are on the other side, because we've got some issues we need to fix as well in the industry. And they're still there. I'll talk a little bit later on, Rob, if it's okay, about some of the work I'm doing in the UK. And it's all around that, what I call salvage reinvestment. So it's not about, I can see you thinking there. I'm seeing, but I look at salvage. A salvage vehicle to an automotive recycler is, I'm buying this many sales and I'm making those sales because I'm projecting I'm going to sell $10,000 off this vehicle, and I make my $10,000 or $11,000 in sales. Wonderful. If we bought at the right cost of goods and we hit our projected sales, we've made the margin that we need to make to make a profit. From an insurer perspective, though, if we think about this slightly differently, what if we looked at salvage as an asset to them, and how we can take that salvage and reinvest the parts off that vehicle back into their supply chain, back into their repair network? And in doing so, what we're doing, yes, we're making our sales that we need to make in our business as a recycler, But what we're also doing is we're thinking about our, whether you call the insurance company the customer, for the purpose of this discussion, let's call them the customer at the minute. How are we helping our customer achieve what they're looking to achieve? And that is a reduction in claims cost, right? How are we helping the collision repairer repair more vehicles? Why? Because it's easier to total loss a vehicle with new parts than it is to use reclaimed parts. And the reality is, in the insurance world, because the supply chain isn't as good as it needs to be for them, most of the time, the adjusters, or as we call them here in Australia, the assessors or engineers, they don't factor the reclaimed part or the recycled OE part at the point of assessment, at the point of adjustment, because it's too hard. Can I get it? Will I get it? Will it be in the right quality? Will it come in time? All these types of things. Now, things are changing, and we'll talk about how things are changing soon. So I started thinking about how we can harvest parts off donor vehicles and reinvest those parts into recipient vehicles. And I started thinking like an insurance company. How do I talk their language? How do I make an insurer understand that I'm here to help them as a recycler, right? And obviously we need to make money. So as a recycler, as an owner of a small business, we still need to make money. But intuitively, it made sense that if you do both of those things, then all of a sudden you're going to make money because you're going to sell those parts. So anyways, we started going down that path and we said, okay, what's in our control? We needed to fix quality. We needed to fix service. We needed to fix all that stuff. But what's not in our control? Well, the margin you allow repairers is not in our control. You need to work with the repairer to help them make money on our part so that they want to use them. They want to use the reclaimed part, right? So I came up with a pricing model. And basically, we enabled repairers, collision repairers, to match and improve the margin they're making on their OE parts by using a recycled part. All of a sudden, a lot of the issues for the repairer disappeared. We doubled usage, fair enough, from low levels, 6-7%. We doubled usage within 6 months with the trial repairers. We ran a trial with about 40 repairers at the time, and they doubled their usage because we did everything we could from a quality perspective and a service perspective that we could, but then we also helped the repairer make more money by influencing a better margin for them. So anyway, moving on from that, that was in our family business, pushed that whole idea of parts reinvestment, salvage reinvestment. And then in 2011, 13, 14 region, I did a project. I'd left the family business, did a project with another insurer, Suncorp, and I introduced them to LKQ at the time. They were looking to do something very similar. They had their own collision repair network doing 17,000 repairs a month. So they were looking to do something similar, and they reached out to me and said, "Chris, can you help us?" So I, on a contract, basically worked with them until about 2015. We did the JV with LKQ at the time. And then once that contract lapsed and I sort of said, guys, I'm moving on, I started my own consulting business and, got into a number of other things that spawned off of that, including certification of aftermarket parts, recalls for automotive recalls. So we do that here in Australia and also in the UK. And now we've got the Business Auto Partnered Solutions. So we've got a number of different products there. We call them exact products, so exact bids. We help, with the labor to preview vehicles in, Bid Buddy and the like. Exact Stats, which is, as you know, Rob, the statistical analysis of their data so that we can help them set up their buying, QCI settings better, and a few other things that we do in that report. Exact Measure, Exact Sales, which is remote salespeople, and I know we may want to have a quick chat about that later on. Well, in the UK, we're doing Exact Link, which is a part numbering system where we help eBay and their sellers map manufacturer part numbers, vehicle compatibility. We do grading. We help them map part categories, eBay categories to the correct part type. It's an automated system that we've built. Obviously, we've got some people in the background, but mostly automated, and that's growing significantly. So lots out there, Rob. Hopefully, that's enough for you.
Yeah, and well, let's dive into just a couple of those things. So let's talk about exact bids, right? And I have quite a few of my customers that are using it, right? And know a bunch of other, peers that are using that tool. So explain a little bit of how you kind of came up with the process and what you're doing.
Look, the bidding systems, BidBuddy and so forth, they're super. They're really, really good tools. And, a lot of recyclers, and we started this looking at it in the Australian market, and a lot of recyclers, there's only about 30 recyclers using BidBuddy in Australia. But it's hard to do the previewing. To use BidBuddy properly, you need to choose the good and bad parts of a vehicle. You need to then select the correct interchange for those. So you pick the engine, but there might be 5 different types of engines on that vehicle. So which engine is it that's in that vehicle that you're actually looking to bid on? And if we don't do that properly, then we get the wrong outcome as far as a bid value or a QCI score. So having been there and done that, I felt the pain. I felt the pain of having to pick all that stuff. And what did I do? I took shortcuts.
Right. Not everybody's made out to be a clicker, so to speak.
Man, I'm not a
Especially
clicker.
in this industry. Yeah. I'm the wrong guy.
I'm the wrong guy too. So I knew that was a problem. And as an owner, manager of an automotive recycling business, we sometimes become a little bit control freaks, right? We want to control everything for good reason to a degree, because it's our money. And if we don't get it right, it's going to sort of go wrong. We're going to lose money.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, how do we help the automotive recycler? And our motto when we develop a product is we ask this question: can I help the recycler save time and make more money? So how do I help you save time? Because when we were talking to these guys, a lot of the time that's, just haven't got time. I haven't got time to do that. I haven't got time to dig into the numbers. I haven't got time. It's like every time it's like, so tell me what takes up so much of your time? I'm full-time buying. Okay. So what does that actually mean? Well, I go through the auctions, I find the cars that I need, I then bid them or preview them on BidBuddy. That takes, 5 or 6 hours a day. But if I don't do that, I can't buy them properly. So we thought, what if we actually developed the capability to help recyclers do that legwork, do that click work, right? That somewhat boring yet really important work to prepare the bid ready for them. And basically that's what BidBuddy is. BidBuddy, Exact Bids is, right? We help recyclers usually overnight, or if they've got a spare PC, we access that. We want to access it 24/7. We get into their BidBuddy system, and we're previewing the vehicles that they want us to preview, or that if they've done exact stats, we've determined which vehicles should be previewed based on the QCI settings. We will preview the vehicles that they need to have previewed so that when they walk into the office in the morning, their previews are done. They just look over them, make sure they're happy with them, and they're away bidding. They save hours and hours. Some people are saving 6-7 hours a day. Most importantly, if I can say this, most importantly, they're usually saving either that time when they should be working on their business, during the day, or they get time back with their family and they get their weekends back.
Or both.
Or both. It depends how much of a workhorse they are.
And I know that you measure these people quite, a lot, right? Looking for their accuracy and how accurate are they at picking the right interchange and that types of things. And I know it's been a process, but I do know that you're at a pretty accurate level and percentage of what they're doing.
Yeah, look, we're 96, 97 odd % accurate now. We're always going to make mistakes, Rob. Doesn't matter who it is. And the funny thing is, we look at some of the businesses that we work with, and they've been doing it themselves for a long time. And we look at some of their previews, and the reality is there's so many shortcuts within those. There's so many errors in those but we look over those because we think, okay, I know that I've made that mistake. I know that I haven't bid it properly, but I'll allow a little bit of fluff to make up for it. Sort of, it's a bit of guesswork. It's sort of taking the old engine gearbox worth 5,000. I'll pay 5,000 for the car. It's
Right.
taking that the next level and saying, let me now put that sort of method or methodology into a system, BidBuddy, and let me now systemize it a little bit more, but without going all the way. What we help do is take it all the way. Yes, we're going to make some errors. We're going to pick some parts that are
Right.
damaged that we shouldn't pick, or leave some parts out. That's just human. We can't do
Right.
much of that.
But what to me is something you said there is we take the shortcuts, we make emotional decisions,
Yeah,
or we emotionally make decisions about, oh, I bought that 14 Ultima last week and I know I can spend $1,700 and make 34. I'm not going to look at it. Right.
yeah,
Right. So Mike just asked a question. So Mr. Kunkel must be watching about using detailed VIN decoding.
yeah.
Right. Do you use detailed VIN decoding? Right. I would
So
have to assume. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, we try and use whatever tools are available. I think in the US, and excuse me for my ignorance here, but you've got the Comp9 system and so forth. So many of our BidBuddy customers or customers of exact bids use Comp9. So our team uses that. So we basically, the process is we review the vehicles, we pick the good and bad parts, we choose the correct interchange, and then for those that wish us to do this, we also do the pricing on each of those parts. So we'll look at what the right price is for that part. Sometimes, depending on what the customer requirement is, it may be we want to be at the average, or Chris, we want your team to look at the mileage, compare the mileage to, comparable mileage out there on Eden or Pinnacle Net or whatever the case is, and let's get a price that's fairly accurate. And with price fluctuation at the minute, it makes a lot of sense to do that. Now, for an owner manager to do all that, that's a damn big job.
Right. But to
Big job.
be able to come in the morning or at night and just review everything that's already been done and do a little double checking and add, push a little here, push a little there, understanding some of those things.
Yeah,
Again, now it's a time saver, and the decisions are being made by data, not
correct.
emotion.
100%. And we've got some people now using 3 previewers. We've got 3 previewers in there doing their exact bits, doing
Hmm.
their previewing. And a number of these guys and girls that are using us that exact bid service at the minute, really all they're doing, it's incredible. They're not even checking them anymore. They're just going through and bidding based on the bids that are there. Okay.
Hmm.
Because they know that across the board, some might be out by a couple of percent up, a couple of percent down. We may have missed something here or missed something there, but the reality is they were missing them all over the place anyway. So we're a lot closer today. If we were to measure accuracy of what the exact bids tool is delivering, or exact bids service is delivering versus what they were doing before, we're a lot
Hmm.
closer. It's just about getting comfortable with it, really.
Right. And it's very interesting to me over the conversations that we've had is, you're finding some of the best previewers are the women.
Yeah, it's amazing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well, they're more
Really,
detailed. Guys
I
are
shouldn't
sloppy.
say I shouldn't say it's amazing because it's not amazing. So we're not
Right.
allowed to say that.
Yeah.
But it's true. Uh, we typecast people, and I know you got the Lara ladies in the Automotive Recycling Association, which I saw a post about this morning, and I think we need to do more there. And I really, and this is not a politically correct comment or anything like that, but the reality is we need to, as an industry, embrace that more, right? We have some ladies that are doing a great job in the sales function, the remote sales function, um, previewing, super job in the previewing function. One of the new products that we've just, uh, you know, rolling out now, and we've got a new customer starting in Kansas, not in not too much time, next week actually, is exact inventory or exact stock, which is basically they create the MBR, we look at the images. We're developing some nicer processes there where they'll mark the MBR, the parts as they're taking photos, and put down the damage locating code. And we'll take that and we will then input each of those parts, because that takes time, 10, 15 minutes per vehicle. Well, all of a sudden, all they're doing now is taking the images, creating an MBR, and bang, away we go. So the detail that some of the ladies that we've got working with us go to are significantly better than a lot of the males. So it's about, my view is it's about training. It's about getting them comfortable. It's about getting our industry comfortable with it as well. And I think we're getting there, but I think we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah. And I see it in the sales training I do. I listen to a lot of calls, and I'll be training a woman, and she'll pick up the phone, hello, this is so and so, can I help you? And the guy will say, can I have the parts department? So I train them to put them on hold for a second, then pick it back up and go parts. Right. So, but yes, and again, I just feel, a lot of times men are much more emotional. They make emotional decisions where women aren't that way in the business aspect of it. So to me I don't care if you're a cow or a monkey. If you can do the job right and you have the skills, that's who should be doing the job. Period.
100%.
Right.
Absolutely
Um,
100.
so I can, I remember when the exact bids came out, and I'm thinking, this is brilliant, because I was, at the time still in the business, and I was hiring people after work. Hey, inventory guy, I'll pay you to click some cars at home at night. I was constantly trying to rob Peter to pay Paul to get more people to click the cars. The more you click, the better odds you have, the more you can look at, and the more you can bid, the higher your percentage is going to be. And by allowing yourself to spread yourself out and go to more sales, the better it's going to be. Or allowing yourself as, hey, I'm going to filter the auctions, Chris, and you guys are going to do all 90% of the low end cars, and I'm just going to do the high end cars myself still. I'm more comfortable. Whatever they're comfortable with and what they want to do is just outstanding. Let's talk about the sales a little bit. Everyone's always interested in the sales aspect, right?
Yeah.
Of what you're kind of doing was training some people.
So, the sales aspect, it's not an easy one, right? It's a hard one to fix, as you know. But there's an opportunity there to help recyclers. There's no doubt about it. With some remote salespeople, I mean, we've seen it over the past 2 years. People don't have to be in the office. If they've got the data on the screen, what's the difference if they're sitting in your office or if they're sitting in my office? It doesn't really matter, really, right? So, I think there's a lot of stuff that we've done there already, but I think there's a lot more stuff that we can do. But certainly, we've put a number of people through your training program, Rob. We've placed a number of people in sales roles and doing sales remotely for some customers in the US, some customers in New Zealand. We're talking to a few people in the UK at the minute. But I think we've got a ways to go there, and I think there's a model out there that we need to keep on working on to improve that. But the long and short of it is, it's harder and harder to get good salespeople. It's harder and harder to get good salespeople that we can afford. And the whole sales function is evolving really quickly. Okay. And if we look at what's happening with online sales, and sometimes we need to look beyond our industry about that, because that's a good telltale sign as to what's going to come. We're lagging a little bit behind in that area, although some would argue that some recyclers are making significant sales online, and they are. But I think a lot's going to change in that sales area.
Right.
Exact sales is a mechanism by which to help people with that.
I'm waiting for Uber parts,
Yeah.
right? Where I can order the parts and the Uber driver picks the part up and brings it to me at my house, right? So if I can pick up my phone and order a burger right now and it's here in 20 minutes, right? When does it become to that for the parts? Right? We're getting messages. Your parts being worked on, your parts ready, your parts on the way, your Uber driver's in the driveway with your taillight. Boom. So
let's transition to the discussion about what we're doing in the UK. So, because I think that dovetails perfectly into that.
It's like I know what I'm doing.
Like that. I'm helping you, Rob. I'm helping.
Thank you.
So, I do a lot of consulting work with eBay in the UK directly, and I've been working with them very intimately for the past 3 years, since February 2019. This is not anything that I can't share, but eBay UK, we've developed a model whereby recycled, certified recyclers, independently certified recyclers. So we built an independent certification program with the Vehicle Recyclers Association over there. We worked with different stakeholders, insurers, collision repairers, obviously automotive recyclers, the association, eBay, to build a protocol, a standard that is independently audited by two organizations that were, went through a tender process to do the auditing. They get audited once a year independently. And long story short, those recyclers that are what we call VRA certified recyclers are allowed to sell their product on this eBay B2B platform, right? Business to business platform. And it's a new platform that's been built. It's not the normal B2C platform, but it's a new platform that's been built that integrates with collision repair software and allows repair information to come through to it and then take eBay parts and offer them, or eBay seller parts and offer them back to the repair. That's sort of long story short. But the critical bit there is, there are still things that need to be sorted. You spoke about logistics there, Uber parts or whatever you want to call it. So one of the biggest challenges is, how do you aggregate parts from 100 certified recyclers? So we've got 100 99 independently certified recyclers now in the UK, which is an amazing feat if you think about it. Over the last really year and a half, year and 7 months, 100 independently certified recyclers. How do you find a way to build a logistics capability so that when Chris, the collision repairer, sees an image of the right front door, door mirror, fender, or wing as they call them in the UK, and I don't know, the hood or the bonnet, and they're all from different recyclers, how do we aggregate that so that the repairer can have one shipment of products, right? A total parts package of products delivered to their door. It's hard. It's hard to do that, right? Because now all of a sudden we've changed the game and we're saying we need to actually do something a little bit different here so that the repairer gets one shipment rather than 4 different shipments from 4 different suppliers and potentially 4 different freight costs. So eBay is going to the extent of developing a distribution hub, a distribution mechanism, right? Similar to what Amazon, I suppose, does. Where they have
going to go like an Amazon hub.
Yeah. So we're starting a pilot very soon on this program where we'll be having certain recyclers shipping product to a central point and then specialized logistics capability to actually deliver the product. Handle it the right way because they do it every day at scale. Understand, what the end customer is looking for, and potentially not even have to pack it because it is handled appropriately. Right? It's not just thrown in the back of a UPS truck, right, or a FedEx truck, who handle it as if they're picking up a box of, reflex paper, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different product. So it's what they call ugly freight in the freight industry. I've heard. So, anyways, so that whole bit about where we need to go as an industry. I've learned a lot over the past 3 years in the UK and Australia and the US by working with some of these larger corporates, insurers and the eBays and so forth, about where the industry is going. And things are changing really, really quickly. Okay. I think we've had this discussion before, Rob. I think the sales function will change in the next 5 years. Right. I think you call them professional customer service agents, I think.
Order takers.
Yeah, whatever, right? And, we're going to need to provide customer service as opposed to take their order in the future, right?
Right.
Because the orders are just going to come through. And, that's one of the reasons, one of the other products that we've developed for the UK with eBay and supported by eBay is that exact link product. Why? Because if the data is correct, if the manufacturer part numbers are accurate and on the correct part types, and they're tied to it, then all of a sudden what we've got is a capability to automate that process. Now, a lot of work's gone into that over the past 8 or so months, but there's some developments in that exact link product that I think are going to revolutionize the way sales are made in the UK of reclaimed parts.
And to be clear, right? What you just said, for anyone that it may have just, right, is that they're linking the OE numbers, so to speak, to talk US language here.
Yeah.
You're taking all the OE numbers and linking it to each one of those part link eBay orders. So if I go to the eBay in the UK and put in the OE part number and hit search, bang, it
Right.
finds it. That's definitely the right part, and it's telling you it fits my car.
That's right. Now
A
think
lot
about
of logistics there.
a lot of logistics, but think about why it hasn't worked in the past. Because it depends on all recyclers, big and small, to be able to do that well, to be able to do that accurately. Do that when I'm saying do that on every part. Look up a part number. Is that the right part number for that part? Who's got the resources to do that? Right?
No
Not
one.
many normal recyclers, in inverted commas, whatever normal is, can do that. Now, in the UK, they do it a lot better than they do here in Australia or in the US. I'll tell you that 100%. Now, you look at an eBay listing in the UK versus one in the US or Australia, we don't use many manufacturer part numbers, or we don't go to the effort to put part numbers. We don't go to the effort to choose vehicle compatibility a lot of the time on our eBay listings.
Mhm.
In the UK, they do a lot better job of that. And as a result, they get a better result, right? We've got some customers over there that are doing 120, 130,000 pound a week in eBay sales. There are some good facilities in the UK that only sell via eBay. Now, you could say you're crazy. Whatever. You know, at the end of the day, they pay their whatever it is, commission, 10% or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. And that's their sales channel. No salespeople, no this, no that. Bang. And they're doing big dollars, right? Big money on eBay. It's pretty good.
Well, and this, it's the beautiful thing in this industry, Chris. There's so many different ways to operate a recycling yard and make money. This isn't a cookie cutter thing. There's some cookie cutter processes to it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways to do it. And this is what's so interesting. So, what you'll lead us into a little bit about, some people may be saying, hey, Rainwater, are you nuts? You're with Profit Team Consulting and you're bringing this other consultant on your show, right, to talk about this stuff. So, but to us, so talk about the relationship. We kind of, Mike and Lee and myself and you kind of put our heads together a little bit and said, listen, there's so much that we can offer all of our customers where you say, you know what, you are right, but Rainwater does that better, or Kunkel can do that, or Lee can handle that a little, and we're trying to get some of our customers, and hence why you're here, is to introduce some of your products to more people in the States and more of our customers to say, hey, Chris, Chris has this. This can save you time, things I don't do.
So here's my view. I can't be everything to everyone. I don't think you can be everything to everyone. We've got mutual customers. We've got a number of mutual customers now that we both work with, and we're starting to work even closer with each of those, right? And we're collaborating with that discussion. With why both of our goals. Obviously, we want to make money, right? Obviously, we need to pay the bills and do all that type of stuff. That's why we're here. But both of our goals, in order to succeed in doing that, is to help our mutual customers. And if I can use some of your services to do that, why not? Why
Right.
not? If it's going to help my customer, why wouldn't I do that? Likewise, if you can help your customer with some of our services, for example, a bidding service or exact stock or inventory process or exact sales, in fact, why don't we potentially work on some of those things together to grow the opportunity and help some of your customers,
Right.
or help some of my customers? They're not ours anyway. They're industry people that we've worked with and spoken with at conferences over years. So really, it's about how can we add more value to our customer. I think by working with Profit Team Consulting, there's no reason why we can't do that. We work with BidBuddy, right? Work closely with the BidBuddy team
Right.
and Mike and Triple J there to develop certain processes there, right? And if you think about what we're doing in Australia with BidBuddy, through Auto Apartment Solutions and the relationship I have with Mannheim here, who's one of the two big salvage, auction sellers here, we actually get the feed from Mannheim that goes into BidBuddy, and we prepare that and we provide that service for free between Mannheim and BidBuddy, so that all the recyclers in Australia have the vehicles already loaded into BidBuddy. Now, that's something that you may be used to in the US, but in Australia, until probably 18 months ago, that did not exist. Everything was manual. Load each car up manually.
Ugh.
Right? So now, through what we're doing and the relationship with BidBuddy, we're providing that. We don't charge for that, right? So, a little bit about, I've known Mike, I don't know, probably for the last 15, 16 years, but Mike Kunkel and Mike Jones from PRP back probably, I think it was around 2007-ish, came to Australia and spent a week with us here. It's a week with me, and in Melbourne. They wanted to understand more from a PRP perspective because they were, Mike was at American Auto Salvage back then, and doing the PRP stuff, and they wanted to understand more about our salvage reinvestment insurance type of stuff that we were doing. So we built a bit of a relationship there, and we've always been good. And one thing led to the other. We started talking, Rob, and it just makes a lot of sense for us to work together and help our mutual customers. Simple.
Right. Which, leads us into, I believe, Mike, you're going to be headed over to the UK and probably doing some stuff. And I think Mike is going to head over, and we may do some virtual things and trying to get to, the United Kingdom and bring some more people there. So again, we're inviting you in here. You're inviting us to go there. And I think it's just a great opportunity for us. Again, what is the goal? The goal here is to help this industry, right? It's all we really know. I've been in it for, if you count my part-time work and hanging out at the salvage yard, 40 years. It's all I really know, and I'm very passionate about it. And I think that is a unique thing between all the years Mike has, all the years Lee has, right? All the years, this is in our blood, so to speak.
Yeah. Now I think, sorry, Rob, but I had a contact from a couple of recyclers in the UK a few months ago about sales training. Right now, I don't do sales training. Why? Because my focus is somewhere else, and I'm sure you're a much better sales trainer than I am. So, the first thing I did was I just forwarded that email to you, introduced you to those people. Why? Because I think that's a better outcome for them, a better outcome for you, and ultimately a better outcome for me, because they're happy, they get what they need. So that's the idea here. It's this is a big industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So it's not about what I can do or what you can do. It's about what we can do, and the more the merrier. To be honest with you, the industry needs more people like Rob Rainwater that can help people get better, right? Help people get better, and possibly more of the services that PTC or Auto Partner Solutions possibly offers that will enable the industry to get better. Now, again, I keep on bringing this back to some of the other work that I do, because an eBay, for example, would say, well, how's that going to help us? Chris, you do work for us here. How does that help us? If I can help the recycler get better at delivering a quality product on time, in spec, and safely every time, then it's going to help you significantly. So, there are some direct benefits that you can sort of identify straight up, and that is, I can help the recycler make more money by doing A, B, C, D, or I can help them save time by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And that's a direct benefit to the recycling. There's some more strategic benefits for the overall marketplace, understanding where it's going and what needs to happen in order for the industry to get there. And some of that is a little bit more long-term.
Well said. And it's just, I like kind of the camaraderie part of it, is, hey, we're just here to help, right? Be it you go with you use your products, their suggestions, this or that, calling each other, what do you think, those types of things. There's enough out there, we just need to be a part of that.
Yep, absolutely.
Together.
Absolutely.
And
So,
and I know, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Right, let's talk a little bit about the UK conference, sort of a training seminar day that we thought of putting together for the UK, if that's okay.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
You mentioned it before. So what we're looking at doing, in fact, Rob, I think it'd be great if we could do a quick little webinar next week that's just focused on that, or the week after, and we can circulate to the market, but especially the UK recyclers. But really, what are we trying to do? What I've seen in the UK over the past 3 years are some of the best automotive recycling businesses you will see anywhere in the world. Really extraordinary business, doing 100, 200 cars a day. Some of these guys, right? Touching 100, 200 cars a day. It's a slightly different model, but there's still got certain salvage contracts and all that in place. And in the UK, you might even see a number of recyclers that are actually acting as the auction. So they receive that total loss vehicle, they will store it, they will then sell it using, online auction, e-salvage type of software to the market. Okay, so it is a slightly different model, but some of the biggest and best recyclers I've seen are sitting there, right? Now, the challenge that I've identified for the UK recyclers is that they don't use a lot of their data to make decisions, right? Or they don't use their systems well to make some of those decisions. There's a lot of Pinnacle users, for example, in the UK. Now, Pinnacle in the UK is a Hollander-owned product as opposed to a CCC-owned product. But the system is very, very similar, 99% the same as it was back when actual systems owned it. So they don't use the data out of Pinnacle. They don't know how to use different parts of Pinnacle or where to find certain stats to actually make better decisions. And it struck me as incredible. Some of these businesses are multi-million dollar businesses doing well, but I liken them to bookends. They've got really good bookends. They've got really good supply at the front end, upstream, and they've got really good recycling capabilities because of some of the EU recycling initiatives and so forth. Most of the big recyclers have their own, what do you call it, the Cabelcos, and they're ripping out the copper and they're crushing the cars,
shredded
them.
it,
They've got the crap bit sorted, right? And in the middle, what you see is 5, 6, 10,000 vehicles in their yards on the Christmas trees, 5 high, look magnificent, right? But there's such an opportunity to get those parts, and I'll use my terminology now, reinvested back into the collision repair supply chain or the mechanical supply chain. And that's where my work with eBay sits over and above that and says, how can I help the recycler take those parts and really make more money out of each of those cars by harvesting more parts? If I've got a tomato tree or plant and, it's got 50 tomatoes on it, well, I'm going to enjoy 2 of them if I only pick 2. But if I can pick 50, I'm going to enjoy all 50. How can we take all 50 parts off that vehicle, or 10 or 20, whatever it is, that are good and have demand, and get them back into the market as opposed to just crushing them, right? And so what we found was that there's such a gap in that. And the sessions we're looking to have in March, mid-March, on that special training day that we're putting together, will be about helping recyclers understand what information they've got in front of them, how to extract that, and potentially how the likes of a PTC can help them do that. Because there's nothing wrong with getting some help. Sometimes it's about, and I think you've heard you say, put your hand up and ask the question. It might be a dumb question.
Don't be afraid to be the stupidest person in the room, is what I say all the time.
That's it.
Raise your hand. I don't understand, and please help me. And I just think it's just an outstanding concept, and to get them together to help each other.
Yeah.
Too. Right. And I think you've been amazed at that when you've come to the States and been in an ARA or a URG or some type of conference here, of how much we're willing to just say, oh, here it is. This is how we do it.
The first time I came to URG, I'm going to tell you a funny story. The first time I came to URG, I was there with 4 or 5 Australians, probably early 2000s, 2003, 2004, something like that. I walked into some of these breakout sessions, and there's Rob giving a session about how he does sales, giving up all his secrets. It's like, I thought the first session, I thought there was something wrong with that bloke. There's something not normal. He's just given everything up. Going to the next session, same thing. This guy's telling us everything. Going to the next session, buying, same thing. He's just told us all these secrets. I walked out and I said to the guys, something wrong with these people. They're crazy. They're telling everyone how they do it. And it struck me a couple of years later that there is so much to learn from doing that, and so much to share by doing that, that most people anywhere around the world outside of the US don't get that, right?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with you guys. In fact, you're doing the right thing, right? And again, Australian recyclers, you've got a handful that continuously go to these conferences, or 10 or 20. UK recyclers, you've got 10 or 15 of those that go to the US every year, maybe a few less, but there's so many more over there. So we want to take that to them.
Right. Let's bring it to them and kind of teach them. And again, you can tell me the recipe of how to make the best whatever in the world cooking. Doesn't mean I'm going to cook it right, though. Right.
Yeah,
So, and that's what, and that's where we come in as, hey, here, the recipe's simple, but getting the work done and getting the right process, or having the right SOPs and having tools and using your data and making educated database decisions.
yeah.
Right. And listen, taking the emotional decision out of that, some of that comes with age, Chris.
Why did you have to bring that up?
I know. Right. So, I can't say enough that Profit Team Consulting, and I know Mike is excited about going. I know Lee and I are excited about maybe doing something next fall and having this all be in the UK together. Hopefully, this world gets a little simpler to move around in and whatever. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to involve you more here, with us in this partnership again. Just trying to make everybody better. And so I've had people ask me, why are you doing these Facebook things? And it's free and you're on there and you're a consultant now. And, another one of those things I've learned, Chris, as I get a little bit older, right, is give more than you take, right? And give a little bit back and try to get more people. And if something like this can make one or two people change the thought process, reach out to you, and use some of your products, reach out to Profit Team Consulting and ask us, reach out to both. And I know you and Lee have had meetings together, right, with customers. I mean, how great is that? And it's just for the good of the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said there before, you can give them the recipe how to bake the cake. And there's two things I want to say about that. Firstly, with regard to the collaboration between us and Auto Partner Solutions and Profit Team, what I do, what Auto Partner Solutions does, isn't the day-to-day, how can I help you put these, SOPs in place and make sure that, you're following their daily, weekly sort of discussions that you have with the recyclers. I can't do that. But what I can do is help with some of the higher level stuff that we can sort of put in place and then introduce them to you so that you can help them deliver, right? That's the beauty of the collaboration. The next thing I want to say is, yes, the recipe for the cake may be there. 1 ounce of this, 2 ounces of that, a bit of butter, a bit of salt, a bit of, 5 or 6 eggs, whatever. But what I try to impress on the people that I work with and talk to is for them to think for themselves as well. It's not about me telling you what to do, how to do it, when to do it. There may be some guidance there, but how can I help you start thinking differently? Change your mindset to the way I deal. Buying salvage, perfect example, right? How can I help you change your mindset about buying salvage, buying the car versus buying sales? Totally different deal. You sell every part. You sell every sale you purchase if you're buying sales. Alternatively, if you're buying the car, you hoard a whole heap of parts because you think you need every part of that car, right? So if you've bought 5 sales off that salvage vehicle, off that vehicle, and you know that that's going to deliver you $10,000 in sales for a cost of goods of, let's say, $6,000 or whatever, take those 5 parts off and get on with it, right? Don't hoard the rest of them, because then you've built another 5 warehouses to store the parts, employed another 15 people to take them off, and then employed another 5 people to scrap them in 5 years' time, because they're not going to sell. you bought a car and you thought that that car had a whole heap of parts on it, as opposed to buying your 5 sales, taking your 5 sales off, getting that car out of here and producing another one. Because we're in the manufacturing business, right? It's a different mindset. We manufacture parts off a vehicle. We demanufacture it, but we're manufacturing parts. And if we can't manufacture those parts through a processing facility, we can't sell them because the engine's still sitting on the car.
Right.
So how can I help you think differently about buying salvage? If you're buying sales, you will sell every sale you purchase. If you're buying cars, you're going to have a lot of warehouses full of cars.
Correct.
We've done the same thing. We've paid money for that vehicle, but we're just thinking about it differently. And that's where I think we need to take the industry. We need to help some people think differently, not just tell them how to do it.
And understand it.
That's
part of it too, is making sure that you're explaining it to people and they understand it. Right. And not being afraid. I'm sorry.
Did I explain it okay?
Yes, you absolutely did. Right. You don't buy a TV and keep the box too. Right. You throw the box away. You put the TV out there, you plug it in, you watch TV. I don't keep the box. Right. Get rid of the box. Recycle the box. I'm sorry.
All the moisture sucking beads.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So listen, Chris, it's been a pleasure. Right. We're cooking on an hour here, and to keep you and I concentrated an hour and keep everybody else is there. But we will do this again. And I think it's great that we do a little something, a little preview of what may be coming in March. I know we've got URG. You'll probably be there in New Orleans if that still happens. Right. Cross our fingers, and we'll see everybody there. And it's just been a pleasure. And you know, I just love to talk about the industry. And again, everybody, I hope you know, it's interesting with Chris because we're getting a global vision now. We're not just what's in my little part of the US. We're seeing on a global aspect of what's being done better in other places, and that type of thing. So it's been a pleasure, Chris. I look forward to doing this again soon. I'll see you soon. And everybody. And thank everybody. And quick reminder, don't forget to follow Profit Team Consulting on YouTube. Chris's video will be put on YouTube a little later, probably tomorrow. So you'll be able to view it on our YouTube channel as long as here, along with a whole bunch of other videos we've done. And everybody have a great night. And we'll see everyone soon.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.